visualization just changes the whole game. If you haven't started visualizing yet, you need to start now. Just start practicing visualization, even if you don't really know where to start. Like this week, I really wanted to discuss more about visualization because I feel that not many understand the power of it. And like you can do journaling, you can do affirmations, but if you are not really embodying the feeling of having what you want, then you cannot truly live as if you already have it because you don't feel like you're having it. Journaling, affirmations, they're great ways and tools to add to your visualization, but I feel that if you are not visualizing, if you're not truly sort of like daydreaming about the things that you want to have or the person you want to become, they're not as powerful on their own, because I feel that there is this misconception that if you just journal every day or every morning, every evening, your manifestation will eventually just come true. And for me, I did journaling for a couple of years. Like I had different types of goals. Like I had smaller goals, which were way easier to accomplish. If I look back at the larger goals, like the bigger goals and dreams that I had, I'm 100% sure that journaling didn't really do much for them. The actual time, the real time when things started to change for me was when I started to do visualization. A year ago, I really started to do it intensely, and this became like a daily practice for me. I was doing it every day, in the mornings, in the evenings, and it really became like this sort of part of my routine every day. Like as you brush your teeth, I visualized. It was just a part of the whole day. And first it was difficult. It was so difficult in the beginning because I felt that as someone who is studying arts and being a creative person myself, I felt that I sort of had to have the skill to visualize, but I wasn't doing it enough in my daily activities. Even when I was photographing or doing creative assignments, I would have a vision, but I couldn't really hold it for a long time. And this was the issue that I had. Was I felt sort of anxious in my body if I had to stick to a visualization or a vision for a longer period of time. So I would instantly almost let it go. But there were a couple of practices that I started to do which really helped me to be able to sort of have the picture in my head and really hold it for a longer time. And through holding it for a longer time, you're able to start feeling what you would feel in the situation before it's actually happening. You've probably heard of the saying, as above, so below, the law of correspondence. If you are able to receive something into your life and then feel the feeling of having it, you're able to receive the thing into your life by just feeling the feeling of having it. I did some exercises that really helped me. One of them was I would close my eyes, I would vision an object, and the object I would be visualizing would be sort of floating in my head, in my mind. It could be anything that you could even think about, like it can be your phone, it can also be just your car, and just having that vision of this thing that you decided to have, then really go deeper into looking at it closely. If you go closer to your car, you can see reflections, you can see the material, how the car has been made, you can see all the curves, like you can see your own reflection in the car, in the windows. Just start to think about all the small details that you can about the thing that you are visualizing. And again, just start out with something very small, like something tangible, an object that you probably already have, or something that you can look at it at now, and then move into this visualization practice. And practice it as long as you can. Like turn it around, let it float in your head, but turn it around in your mind. Like look at it from different angles, different perspectives, maybe even touch it. Just really go deeper in experiencing the object as closely and deeply as you can. Try it for the next 5 days and see what happens in your ability to visualize and hold a vision for a longer time. Because this helped me to be able to really detail a vision that I had, like the smallest things that you wouldn't maybe normally visualize. But by doing this exercise, I was able to really emphasize and visualize better what I was really wanting to call into my life. So this was the first exercise that I did. Another exercise that I would do, and this wouldn't require you to have a specific time of the day, like you wouldn't need to really specifically visualize in the evening with this method. You could obviously, but for me it worked better when I used it throughout the day. Think about a memory that you have, something that happened to you in the past, obviously a positive memory or a neutral one, where you can really recall maybe specific smells or sounds or even how you were feeling in that moment. You can experience you touching something, feeling texture of something in the memory, in the vision that you have of your past, like just experiencing a past memory once again, like over and over again. Think about how this memory feels so familiar because you already experienced it, right? So you can really go back to it and know that it already happened, and you're very confident in that happening. And whenever you have free time throughout your day, like you're waiting for a bus or you're waiting for the lights to change, try to bring in like a mind movie, like a short memory of something that didn't happen yet, but something that you are creating in your mind as if it did happen. Bring in a dream or a goal that you have and create a past memory out of it. Whenever I feel that, okay, I'm maybe just having extra couple of minutes and I might feel bored, instead of picking up my phone, I try to envision something that is coming into my life or something that I'm calling into my life. And I start to think about this experience as if it already happened. I go really within the feeling of having it, going through all the details that I can remember. And you don't need to really know about things. For example, when I was envisioning having my exhibition at a gallery that I'm actually having my exhibition now, I envisioned this space because I knew how the space would look, but I wouldn't know how I would be dressed or how many people would be there or what kind of artwork I would be showing that time. But I would envision the best I could. I was able to somehow reconstruct this future memory to feel like it already happened. Like I was just kind of looking into the past and really feeling good about a memory that I had. So I would just go through this experience every day. Whenever I could, I would go through this memory throughout the day. Once you envision your goals as just something that already happened, you sort of create gratitude around it already happening. If we only look at the things that are not in our lives yet, we might experience some fear of not having it, fear of losing it, fear of things not going as planned. But if you change the way you look at the thing, this happening, this experience is really shown to you that it already happened and you're just being grateful and feeling good, which you would once it has already happened. So sort of changing this narrative and feeling the feeling before the actual event takes place. And by this way, you are able to recreate this event on a quantum level. Another thing that I feel might require a bit meditation to have behind all of this. If you're not in control of your thought process and how you feel and how you let emotions affect you, you might not be able to immediately do this, but with a little exercise, you're able to do this. You can start out by noticing when you have sort of worrying emotions. So when do you have emotions or thoughts that you are worrying about something, that you're feeling not quite valued or respected, or maybe you feel fear of judgment, like any type of negative emotion or thought process that you have throughout your day. You need to become aware of these thoughts. Start to sort of noticing them. When did you have these thoughts? Why are they emerging now? Is there an event taking place that is really sort of pushing you to really feel this way? Once you have this knowledge and awareness of your thoughts and when they're popping up, you can then change the thought process. So for example, I wanted to apply for a residency. Whenever I would think about this residency and the application process and the selection process too, I remember thinking, what if I'm not going to be chosen? What will I do if I'm not chosen? So there was a lot of questions that emerged once I started to think about this residency. But then I started to change the narrative. So whenever I was thinking about the residency and whether I would be picked or not, I changed the way I thought about this place and the whole process. So instead of thinking, will I be chosen? Will I be picked? Will this residency happen? I started to ask questions like, what would I do once I get to the residency? How would I dress? What things would I do daily? What would be the first thing that I would do once I arrived there? What kind of people I would meet? What sort of art I could be able to create once I was at this residency? So I started to look at it as if it already happened. And eventually I was actually selected to this residency. But before that happened, I noticed that I needed to change the way I thought about the things that I didn't quite have yet. And that meant that I couldn't look at them through fear, through not having them, through loss. I needed to start viewing them as if I already had them, as if I was grateful for them. I started to really view them through gratitude and warmth, and sort of this loving view on how nice that was, and really feed that emotion. Do it as many times as you need to. It doesn't matter at what time of day. Whenever you feel that is the best time for you, which usually for me is in the evening because it's the most quiet. I feel that I have this space of quietness and really concentration on these visualizations and the goals that I have. Try to find the right time for you throughout the day. What is the right time, the best time for you to do this? And just create a routine out of it by repetition, by repeating this visualization. And at some point, you will actually be surprised that you will wake up and feel like, hey, it already happened. Like you're sort of certain without even needing to pursue anything, with just being this very calm and certain about it already happening. And this is the feeling and direction you need to take in order to be able to manifest these things. And I feel like in this whole manifestation field and in this discussion about attracting your goals to yourself, attracting your dreams, people are often forgetting that you would always need to take aligned action. Maybe you're applying to a university to go to study somewhere. You need to actually apply there in order to be selected. So do the small steps, take action to the direction that you want to go to. Use visualization as the backbone of this, and you will be so surprised at what comes out of it, because at some point you will really look at your dreams and really be checking off a lot of boxes, because you realize that a lot of these things are actually taking place in your life. They come very, very sort of quietly into your life. You don't really notice. This really is the secret sauce. But I do think that it requires some practice, and this is actually a test of how much do you want it really. Okay, guys, I'll be seeing you next week again.